Piccadilly Circus empty of people. A street sweeper scares a flock of pigeons. Leicester Square, a sign warns that London's on high COVID alert. Theatre makers Dante or die.
We didn't quite believe it. And just series by series of everything cancelled, 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 cancelled.
Artistic directors Terry O'Donovan, Daphne Atias.
We had to come up with forms that we didn't know. We had to come up with engaging with audiences in the way we didn't know. And we also had to really justify why it's important that we exist.
Daphne feels a plastic curtain.
The essential thing that we were trying to offer to people was this opportunity to touch at a time where we weren't allowed to touch. And so it kind of felt like urgent in a way, and started riffing on ideas of how this could potentially work. This piece that would be one-on-one, that we can offer touch to an audience member and offer a really intimate experience safely.
In time-lapse, the company creates a plastic installation, hanging in space with thick translucent plastic drapes lit with theatre lights. Captions tell us 3 audience members, 3 performers in London's lockdown Theatreland, June 2021. White letters on black, skin hunger. Audience member 1, a black woman in her 50s.
My name is Helen. I work in a care centre.
She scrubs her hands.
The patients that we work with are dementia patients, patients that are end of life. We do pampering, we do sensory, just to relax the patients. If they're agitated, some of them are feeling low, not being visited by family.
She strokes the leaves of a houseplant and waters it.
I have a patient that I'm very dear to that loves touch. When you go to his room, he comes to you with his hands out.
She makes tea.
He's showing you that I do exist. I'm a person. Somebody cares for me. Somebody wants to touch me.
She shuts a window.
And to lose that, it must have been devastating for them not to have anybody to touch them.
And leaves her house. Audience member 2, Francis, a white man in his 70s, professor in neuroscience.
I'm really intrigued about the relationship between what people do and the brain's control over how they do it. For many years now, I've been really interested in a population of nerve fibres that innervate the skin of the body called C fibres. It tickles my wife, but also annoys her that someone who's a professor of touch doesn't particularly like being cuddled. I can't help it. It is the way I am. So the poor woman suffers a bit from my not actually craving hugs all the time. I think what the pandemic has done for those of us who have been quietly working away for something like 20 years now, characterising the functional properties of this nerve fibre that responds to gentle touch, is awakened the whole planet really to the fact that touch is important.
He washes his hands and leaves his house.
This touch system is basically building a resilience to stress. It is helping us cope with stress. Switch it off, and I don't think it takes a neuroscientist to see that there could be some negative consequences in our ability to basically deal with the normal stresses of everyday life.
Audience member 3, Morgan, a black actor in his 30s.
I was a naughty boy and got myself in jail for a year. So that in prison, what happens is sometimes when there's either a fight or someone unfortunately overdoses on drugs.
He looks out of a window in his flat. It's barred.
It can keep you in a lockdown for a while. You can be in your cell for 3 or 4 days. So I think the longest, I couldn't speak to people or be outside my cell was, I think it was 4 or 5 days in Pentonville.
He looks out as trees waft against a grey sky.
Very weird experience, but similar, I would have assumed, for most people with lockdown. The need to speak to people face to face, the need to connect to people are very important. And when you shut yourself off or you wall yourself off from that physically, I don't think human beings do well.
He leaves his block of flats, masked, and travels on an empty tube. Helen, masked, goes by empty bus, Francis on the overground. The streets are empty as Helen arrives at the venue, Stone Nest.
Hello.
She steps inside. Morgan arrives on Shaftesbury Avenue and Francis.
You could go and step into that green square over there.
Yeah, sure.
They stand on socially distant spots on the foyer floor.
So welcome everyone to this performance of Skin Hunger. The performers will offer you touch through the plastic. You're welcome to accept this or not, just do as you feel comfortable. The show will begin shortly. I'll just let them know that you're ready.
The actors in their 20s and 30s dressed in casual clothes move inside their pods. Rachel Leah Hosker performs Our Hands by Anne Ankindurin, first to Francis, then to Morgan, then Helen. Rachel and Francis face each other either side of a plastic drape.
Do you want to know the body part that I am most insecure about?
This is being, yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad you said yes. Although I am embarrassed, and it is silly, but it's my hands.
Oh no,
I don't have soft hands.
you don't have soft hands. That's the part you don't like being touched?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I went to shake someone's hand in a large group, innocently and politely. I offered them a hand and they flinched. They pulled away so quickly and at the top of their lungs in front of everyone, they went, "Oh, you don't have soft hands." And I didn't have an answer.
Let me have a look at them. Well, they're not, are they?
I can touch your hands if you like. Hey. That is so nice. You've got lovely soft hands.
Well, as someone who's not particularly fond of touch, I can kind of sense the, how vitally important it is for other people.
Even just the tips of my fingers, tip to tip.
It's nice. It's a nice feel. Tips of the fingers. Yeah. Girl was saying about her hands, like, it just makes you feel that you're not, you're not wanted. No one wants to touch your hands. And knowing how that makes you feel quite empty inside. And
Terry O'Donovan performing The Sessions by Tim Crouch.
Or even just a hand, maybe just a hand, just one touch. I mean, I'd understand if, with your permission, we restart, maybe? Maybe?
Terry puts his hand up to the plastic. Francis copies. They're palm to palm.
Thank you. I'm sorry. And I'll be different next time, I promise. And I'll listen next time. And I'll ask permission next time. And I'll be gentle next time. And I'll seek consent next time.
Terry performs to Morgan.
This person has done me wrong, knows that they've done me wrong, but whatever it is, this person is also so guilt-ridden, so in pain, or so apologetic.
They clutch hands.
I can only think back to, like, myself and, for example, me and my brother don't get on. I've always been very reticent to actually accept any sort of communication. But what you don't want to do is make them feel bad forever for doing it. You want to say, look, I've moved on, you can move on. let's go our separate ways.
They hug through the plastic.
There is touch in prison, it's just different. It's just a different touch. Men, I feel, even on the outside, show affection differently to how we would show it towards my mother. And that's one of the great things about plays. It can make you think about it for yourself, for your own life, and where these themes can bring up various different emotions, various different memories within yourself.
Helen watches Osaloka Obi dancing in his pod in Touch the Flesh by Sonia Hughes.
I'm coming down. I'm coming down. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. Hey.
Yeah, the last one really got me. Really, really got me. It just...
Well. So long since I see you. How are the children?
They're good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
He looks at his hands as though he doesn't recognise them.
You can't go out now, Dad. You only have one slipper on. No, look, I have my shoes. No, Dad. That's a sock. Dad.
He flips between characters.
This one is a slipper. Yes, Dad. But this... Dad, this is just a sock. Yeah, well, you could get me the other slipper. No, it's wet. It needs washing. You weeding it. What you talking about? How I could do that? You do it all the time. You think I'm foolish? Yes! Yes, you are. You're foolish, Dad. You're foolish. You have Alzheimer's and you wee in your slipper. Have you seen my mom? No. No. You don't see her. Mom? It's not clear here, Helen, whether he's talking about his mum or his wife. So basically, she's holding his hand.
He slips his plastic gloved hand through a slit in the drape.
You can go now.
You can go now.
There's nothing more for you to do, Dad.
Nothing more for you to do, Dad.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you, darling Dad.
I love you, darling Dad.
Helen blinks back tears and sits to be interviewed.
How was that?
It was very emotional.
You can take your mask off with you.
Thank you.
Tell me about the experience.
Where do I start?
A montage of Helen and the actors touching in the show.
It was about touch. About how you as a person feel wanted and needed. And without having it, it feels like you're kind of non-existent, really. That kind of feeling. Yeah. And also even about the Alzheimer's. That was quite touching, and even knowing that you feel a bit non-existent, you know? Yeah. Just makes me feel how what I do is, I just feel that I can offer so much. And knowing even if it's that little, that it will go a long way. Yeah.
Francis.
Putting that link between our basic understanding of these little nerve fibres that like to be stroked and the reality of that in terms of people's lives is what theatre can do. It can create that meaning.
And so you're leaving?
So the neuroscience and the art actually build a bridge. I think at that level this is a very important venture because it puts two things together.
A montage of Terry enfolding successive audience members in a plastic embrace.
We have become aware of what we didn't know we had until we missed it. And at that level I think this play is really on the money in terms of resonating with people's awareness now.
The drapes are wiped down.
You know, if you're not aware of something, you can't, you don't think about it. If it's there all the time, you take no notice of it. But when someone removes it, the brain realises that there's something missing. And what brains had realised globally was physical contact. It makes us tick, quite frankly, or most people, myself excluded, possibly.
Terry and Daphne.
I remember in the summer when it was okay to meet people, Terry and his husband Neil came with their daughter to my house. And I was so happy to see them. And I haven't seen Neil in so long, so I just hugged him. And he just stopped. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask for consent. I didn't ask if that's okay. I just assumed. And he said, no, it's fine. It's just that I haven't hugged anyone for so long. I just need a moment to process.
I guess one of the things we'd like to provoke in the audience is whether they'll be constantly risk assessing a hug as they move forward in life.
Emerging from the venue, Francis takes off his mask.
As they meet their parents again, friends, are they going to be risk assessing that moment just as before they reach out and hug?
Then Morgan, then Helen. A crowd of people cross Shaftesbury Avenue.
And I wonder how long we'll be doing that for. I hope it's not too long.
Credits. Dante or Die's Skin Hunger was performed in Stone Nest, a hidden chapel in London's West End, in June of 2021 for 2 weeks, using 400 metres of clear PVC plastic which will be repurposed, 1,296 pairs of plastic gloves, all of which have been recycled, 158 lateral flow tests, 216 hugs. A Dante or Die film, created by Daphne Attias and Terry O'Donovan, directed and edited by Pinny Grylls, produced by Sophie Ignatieff at Dante or Die, co-produced by Anna Snowball at Snow Films, executive produced by Daphne Attias, Terry O'Donovan. Technical credits: camera by Pete Emery and Pinny Grylls, original music by Yannick Friedel and Ofer Shabi, mixing and sound design by Mike Avgeros, recorded and mixed at Soho Sonic Studios, London, live sound recording by Harish Patel, colour grade and online edit by Hijack, audio description by Louise Fryer, captioning by Philippa Mannion, featuring Helen Phillip, Professor Francis McGlone, Morgan Archer. Live production credits, created by Daphne Attias and Terry O'Donovan, written by Our Hands and Anne Kingerin. The Sessions, Tim Crouch. Touch the Flesh, Sonia Hughes. Directed by Daphne Attias. Performed by Rachel Leah Hostger, Osoloka Obe and Terry O'Donovan. Designed by Khadija Raza, additional design by Jemima Robinson. Music and sound design by Yannick Friedel and Ofer O.J. Shabi. Lighting design by Zia Bergen-Holly. Movement direction by Abza Tashkiran. For Stone Nest, Inna Shaw, Hannah Myers, Richard Williamson. Skin Hunger on Film is supported by Stone Nest and the Department for Work and Pensions Access to Work scheme, and funded by Arts Council England.